let's take a look at how we can use proportions to solve word problems that may seem complicated at first, but aren't really that difficult. So the beginning of my word problem tells me that the average human head grows hair 4.3 centimeters every 3 months, which is a fun fact. Let's suppose that I have Mark, who's a wild mountain man of a man, and decides to go for 2 years without cutting his hair. I want to find how much new hair he'll have at the end of that time. And the only other piece of the problem is that the directions tell me to set up and solve a proportion in order to answer the question. So as soon as I see the word proportion, I'm thinking fraction equals fraction. And I need to go through and fill in those 4 spots and then solve for whatever variable I have. Specifically, when I'm dealing with some sort of word problem, I look for the units. And if I read through, I notice that my units are centimeters and months. So I set up this little guide to myself on the side telling me that I'm going to put centimeters on the top and I'm going to put months on the bottom. So I'm going to go centimeters over months. I could switch those and do months over centimeters. It doesn't matter. It'll still work out. The key is I have to be consistent. So for my first fraction, I use the information that comes from the first part of my problem. 4.3 centimeters matches up with 3 months. So 4.3 on the top, 3 on the bottom. I keep reading, and it says that he's going to let it grow for 2 years without cutting it. The problem is I don't have years anywhere. So I have to think 2 years is going to correspond with how many months. And since there are 12 months in every year, that's going to be 24 months. So I can go ahead and place a 24 underneath my months. So I label my final remaining spot with my variable, x, because I want to know how much new hair, in terms of centimeters, he'll have. So since I'm dealing with a proportion, I get to cross multiply, which is exciting because it gets rid of my fraction, which is what I want. So I take 24 and multiply by 4.3, and I get 103.2. And then I take 3 times x, and I get 3x. And remember, proportions allow me to set those 2 quantities equal to each other. I have a very simple one-step equation. I want to get x all by itself. So I divide by 3 and divide by 3. When I divide that out, I end up with 34.4 equals x. Since I'm dealing with a word problem, it's very nice to take my answer, write it out, and put units. So Mark will have 34.4 centimeters of new hair at the end of those 2 years.